So, what's up, y'all? It's Mahllz, and welcome back to the studio. So, I was just on YouTube and just going through a whole bunch of different random videos, and I stumbled upon this channel called Metal Jesus Rocks. And they'd asked a question to their squad, and they said, what is a game that you just loved and adored as a kid in your childhood, but now that you played as an adult, you actually kind of hate, or at least severely dislike? So I thought that was a super fun topic that I could ask our Mahllz crew on, just getting their thoughts and opinions on games that, for whatever reason, just didn't stick with them like they thought they would. So let's start this off with no other than Raph, aka Avaloon.
Hey guys, so a game that I quote unquote hate, I don't want to say hate, but I guess a game that I don't really care for as an adult would be Spyro. Growing up, I played a lot of Spyro, and I really liked, collecting the gems, headbutting the monsters and gliding, kind of like simulating like his flying abilities. But Spyro, as I grew older, I didn't really get to play the game as much as the other ones that I played in my childhood, like Pokemon, Final Fantasy, Digimon, Dragon Ball Z. As I got older, I played different variations of those games, depending on the console that came out. And for some reason, Spyro just never made it, and I don't think that it made an impact on my life as much as the other games that I just mentioned. And I think I don't want to say hate, but I feel that Spyro definitely was a game that I didn't really care for growing up, and into my adulthood. You could say I kind of don't care for. So I think I think that's the one that definitely, for me, it's the one I quote unquote hate, if you may.
Okay, so here's my pick for a game that I personally enjoyed as a child, but I don't always have the best memories of as I'm an adult. And that game is X-Men on the Sega Genesis. For those that don't know, X-Men for Sega, and I believe Super Nintendo as well, but I grew up in a Sega Genesis household, so I had the Sega version. Came out in 1993. And, my mom got it for me a couple of years later, and she knew I love Marvel, as you can see by the poster on my left side here. I love Marvel Comics, and the X-Men have a very near and dear place in my heart. I love X-Men. They're one of my favorite groups. Anywho, going back to the game. This game, 3-year-old Jack was pretty hyped when I got it a little years later. And I was super excited to play it. And you know what? It was okay. It wasn't god-awful, but it wasn't the game I was expecting. The first level was very hard. The music's really, really good, but I struggle on the first level, and there are just so many things. Like, you're in a jungle level fighting dinosaurs, which is weird. And I don't even know the rest of the game because I have to watch it on YouTube, but there are some pretty tough boss battles. It is a fun game, but it is a game that when I look at as like some of my biggest memories, and as a Marvel fan, the expectations I had, it kind of met them, but not to an extent I was hoping for. It's not a horrible title, but again, it is not the X-Men title that, 3-year-old Jack really wanted. So that is my selection for a game that had my heart, but unfortunately didn't keep it.
So, one gaming system or one gaming feature that I used to think was really awesome until further in the future I found out it was really awful because technology moved along, were controllers. Like, when I was a kid, I used to play with the Nintendo controller, right? But then when the PlayStation 2 controller came out and I played with an old Nintendo controller, I was like, what the hell is this thing? This is awful. Same thing with, I never had a GameCube, but I got a Wii and a Wii U, and you remember the joysticks that the Wii U had. I thought that was the best thing ever. I was slaying it. I was playing Smash all the time. I was really good at it. People were surprised. One day I eventually got a Switch, and I used the Switch controller, which is like a normal controller. And I was like, this is far superior. My roommate brought his Wii U, and he has the old Switch controllers, and I'm like, I can't play with this. This is garbage. So that's an example of something that changed for the better.
Howard, aka Ranger Fiasco, and if I had to choose any game that I hold dear that challenges me, it would be Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES. That game, till to this day, is Well, one of my favorites, and it's a double-edged sword. It's as a kid, I found it really challenging, and I didn't know any better because I'm young. I'm just having fun, but then you actually grow up, and just the shade of it, just you have to get through all these different levels, and you die a lot. And I'm used to dying in video games, but not to that extent. It was really rude is what it was. And Nintendo, to this day, is one of my favorite companies. And they make amazing worlds. They give you some really good experiences. But Super Mario Bros. 3 is, as fun as it is, it's unforgiving. And I still love it, but maybe a little bit less, because growing up I got the NES Online for the Switch, and that's a great thing to do. And if it wasn't for the save and plays feature that they have, I would never have beaten it. And I'm not sure how these people they do speed runs and all that stuff. They're not human. But I digress. Super Mario Bros. 3 is still one of my favorites. It's too hard. I say that out of love.
So, what game did younger me like, but adult me absolutely finds insufferable? Well, this game will probably forever have a soft spot in my heart, and will probably always be the epitome of 13-year-old Cleophas teenage angst, and that game is no other than Shadow the Hedgehog.
Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
Yes, Shadow the Hedgehog. It was a Sonic game for sure, but that shit was edgy as fuck. You're this nihilistic hedgehog named Shadow with amnesia who falls into the typical trope of light with your Sonic, you follow the path of light with your Sonic friends, or you follow the path of darkness with this evil starfish named Black Doom and his black arms. Yeah, and or you can just do the neutral route because you're Shadow and you don't give a fuck, and you can just do your own thing. So there's that. It was a really hilarious game because it also Shadow also had to team up begrudgingly with a bunch of characters. Honestly, Sonic has a roster of characters that are probably, if anything, the side effects of a franchise that's been milked for the past decades. I still have flashbacks of Charmy B, just gas me up for all the most mundane shit that he found cool. It was a crazy ass game. But anyway, edgelord Sonic also had a gun. Don't know why he had a gun. He had a gun. I just can't really make this shit up. But don't get me wrong, the game was fun at the time. This was probably over, 50 years ago when the game came out in 2005. It was the basic average game. You had these different story arcs. Wonky controls aside, I had fun with it. And like I said, it will always have a soft spot in my heart. As an adult, I look back on it, I'm like, why would Sega ever create a dedicated game for Shadow and give him a gun? That will always be beyond me. But anyway, Shadow the Hedgehog game I loved as a child, absolutely hate as an adult.
So, okay, for my pick, things might get a wee bit controversial. And it's not so much a game itself, but rather a series. And unfortunately, I gotta say, it's Kingdom Hearts. We know that Kingdom Hearts 3 came out a couple of years ago, and it kind of had mixed fanfare, mixed response. The thing is about Kingdom Hearts, I was obsessed. I mean, absolutely obsessed. I think to this day, I still have some usernames and passwords that have Sora in it, and Riku and Titus, or Titus, however you say it. But the thing is, Kingdom Hearts is a series. We all know it's a love collaboration between Disney and Square Enix, which I thought was the coolest thing back in the day. It still is cool, but the issue is it's a perfect example of, it's not like the games are bad. I think with some games you look back and you realize, oh, the game is just not good. It's not that the games are bad. I just think I've literally grown out of this series. I used to eat the dialogue of Kingdom Hearts up. All the themes, the symbolism, the key itself, the Princess of Hearts. I mean, I live for that shit. But the problem is, when you look back at Kingdom Hearts, you realize how cringy the dialogue is. It's really bad, to a point where sometimes it's hard to even stick with. And in playing Kingdom Hearts 3, because there was such a large gap, at least from 2 to 3, I played a lot of the spin-offs, but at least between that gap, you could honestly see the difference, or at least I can tell the difference of maybe 16-year-old me versus, at the time, I guess Kingdom Hearts 3, I was 26. So yeah, you know, I still appreciate Kingdom Hearts for what it is. I still appreciate this love letter, and I appreciate anytime that, you know, there's new news and what is to come in the future. But I have to say that when I think of Kingdom Hearts now, I just don't like them. I don't like them. It's so bad. I hope I don't get flamed. But you know, I give no full respect to anyone who still loves Kingdom Hearts and appreciates the series for what it is. It's just, for me, I think I have grown out of the series, and it's just not up there at the top like it used to be. But that was super fun, and I really hope you guys enjoyed all of the crew members' topics and picks for their specific games. But I want to hear what you guys think. Just let us know in the comments below. We would love to have a discussion, shoot, maybe even a debate of games that you feel are just not as good now that you play them as an adult, and maybe it really was just nostalgia, us trying to remember that it was good. That was fun, y'all, but I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.